Maria was only 6 years old, but life had already shown her more hardship than most adults experience in a lifetime. She lived with her mother near a crowded market in Manila. They did not have a house. Their home was a small space under a broken shelter made from plastic sheets and old cardboard boxes. When it rained, the water leaked through the plastic. When the sun was hot, the heat made it impossible to sleep. Every morning Maria woke up before sunrise. While other children her age were getting ready for school, Maria walked through the streets helping her mother collect empty bottles and small pieces of metal that they could sell for a few coins. Sometimes they earned enough money to buy rice. Sometimes they did not. Despite the difficult life around her, Maria had something special inside her. Something that no one could take away. Her voice. Whenever the streets became quiet in the evening, Maria would sit near the corner of the market and sing. She did not have a microphone. She did not have music lessons. She did not even know the names of many songs she sang. But she sang with a heart full of emotion. People passing by would often slow down when they heard her voice. Some smiled. Some dropped a few coins into the small cup beside her. Others simply stood still, surprised that such a powerful voice could come from such a tiny girl. Maria learned songs by listening to old radios in nearby shops. Sometimes she stood outside a small electronics store that played music all day. She would close her eyes and memorize every note she heard. Her favorite songs were emotional ballads. Songs about love, pain, and hope. Even though she was only 6 years old, when she sang those songs people felt something deep in their hearts. Her favorite songs were emotional ballads. Songs about love, pain, and hope. Even though she was only 6 years old, when she sang those songs people felt something deep in their hearts. One evening, while Maria was singing near the market, a young man stopped in his tracks. His name was Daniel, a small video creator who loved recording unique moments around the city. At first he thought the voice he heard must be coming from a radio or a nearby stage. But when he turned the corner, he saw something that shocked him. The voice was coming from a small barefoot girl standing beside a street lamp. Maria sang with her eyes closed, holding an old toy microphone that someone had thrown away. The microphone was not even connected to anything, but in her imagination she was standing on a big stage. Daniel slowly pulled out his phone and started recording. The longer Maria sang, the more people gathered around. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Others looked at each other in disbelief. When the song ended, the small crowd applauded loudly. Maria opened her eyes and looked confused. She was not used to so many people watching her. Daniel walked up to her and asked gently, "What is your name?" Maria smiled shyly and answered, "Maria." Daniel asked where she learned to sing like that. She simply pointed to a small shop down the street and said, "From the radio." Daniel felt something powerful in that moment. He knew the world needed to hear this little girl's voice. That night he uploaded the video online with a simple caption. 6-year-old homeless girl singing in Manila. Within hours the video started spreading across social media. Thousands of people shared it. Then hundreds of thousands. Soon millions of people around the world were watching Maria sing under that street lamp. Many people could not believe that such a strong emotional voice came from a 6-year-old girl who had never received training. One person who saw the video worked for a famous talent show in the Philippines. Everything looked huge to her. The tall buildings. The bright lights. The massive theater where the auditions were held. Backstage, hundreds of contestants waited nervously for their turn. Some had practiced for years. Others had professional coaches standing beside them. And in the middle of all those prepared performers stood a tiny 6-year-old girl wearing a simple dress someone had donated to her. She held the microphone with both hands, looking both excited and afraid. When the stage manager called her name, Maria slowly walked onto the stage. The huge theater lights shined down on her. The audience whispered softly when they saw how small she was. The judges looked curious. One of them leaned forward and asked kindly, "Hello, little one. What is your name?" Maria answered quietly, "My name is Maria." Another judge asked, "How old are you?" She lifted 6 small fingers and said, 6. The audience smiled warmly. Then the judge asked a question that made the entire room silent. "Where do you live?" Maria paused for a moment and then answered honestly. "On the street with my mama." The audience gasped softly. The judges looked at each other, surprised by her courage. Then one judge gently asked, "And what will you sing for us today?" Maria held the microphone closer and said, "I will sing a song about hope." The music started. At first the audience leaned forward with curiosity. No one knew what to expect from such a young girl. Then Maria began to sing. The first note echoed across the theater like a quiet whisper filled with emotion. Within seconds the entire room fell silent. Her voice was clear, pure, and filled with feeling far beyond her years. Every word carried the weight of her life experiences. The nights sleeping under plastic sheets. The hunger. The dreams she kept alive inside her heart. The judges slowly straightened in their seats. One judge covered her mouth in shock. Another judge's eyes began to fill with tears. As Maria continued singing, the audience became. When she reached the chorus, her small voice suddenly grew stronger and more powerful. The emotion in her singing filled every corner of the theater. Some people in the audience started crying openly. One judge wiped tears from his face while shaking his head in disbelief. How could a 6-year-old girl sing with such depth? As the final note approached, Maria closed her eyes just like she used to do under the street lamp in Manila. She held the last note perfectly. The moment the music stopped, there was a second of complete silence. Then the entire audience exploded into applause. People jumped to their feet cheering loudly. The judges stood up as well, clapping with huge smiles and tearful faces. Maria looked surprised. She had never heard such loud applause before. One judge leaned forward and said something that made the crowd cheer even louder. "Maria, that was one of the most beautiful and emotional performances we have ever heard." Another judge said, "You reminded us that talent can come from anywhere, even the most difficult places." Then the third judge said something unforgettable. "You came here with nothing but your voice. But tonight you gave the entire world something priceless." Maria smiled shyly, not fully understanding the impact she had just made. The judges quickly voted. 3 yes votes. The audience roared again. Maria had officially moved to the next round. Backstage her mother hugged her tightly, crying with pride. For the first time in years, hope felt real. Over the next few weeks Maria's audition video spread across the internet even faster than the first street video. Millions of viewers around the world watched the 6-year-old homeless girl from Manila who stunned judges with her emotional song.